to week 2 of our project to create a video game in a month. Bit of a different week this time around. It was unsurprisingly a lot more difficult to create code for artwork instead of creating said art. So I'm gonna start straight away. I've created 2 things this week. One of them you can see here, game, the other one being Pong. So as per the instructions of the National Videogame Museum, it was recommended that we created Pong to start with. So this is what we have. So let's see if it works out. So we see the ball is moving, and then I can probably show that I'm really bad at video games at this point. And just see here, impacts, bit of a problem there, but finally show you, there we go. There it starts moving. So I'm controlling both the pads, the ball's moving. I can then just direct with the control keys, which I'm going to show how that was done. So let's stop this and then let's have a look inside. So essentially we have 3 elements here. We have the ball and then the 2 paddles. So looking at the ball, the coding when this starts, it points in the direction of 5, I believe this is 5 degrees, and then repeats this cycle forever, which is moving 15 steps. If it goes on an edge, it bounces, and then if it touches the paddles, it turns around and gets sent in a different direction. So that's essentially what the ball is doing. So this was following the instructions that the National Videogame Museum gave us. And so if we can see that starting here, it just starts moving in a direction. And so if let's do an experiment here. Let's not do that. As an experiment of changing it to 10 degrees, for example. And then, or to see a bigger difference, let's put 20 degrees. And then, yeah, we can see that it gets launched a lot more to the side than anything else. And then we see that I can move everything around with the instructions on the paddles. So let's have a look at what the paddles look like. So we have paddle 1, which is the one on the right, which is very simple. It's placed, and if the down arrow is pressed, it's going to change the y-axis, so up and down, by -10, so it'll move down. And if the up arrow is pressed, it will change the y-axis by 10, which means in a positive manner, it's going to move up. So up arrow, down arrow. I should probably add a if on the edge bounce instruction, which is the same thing the ball has, to prevent us from passing by the edges that you can see is happening here. So actually let's do that now. So that should be on here, I believe, if on edge bounce. So let's do that. Let's see how much that changes. Yeah, see now I can't, I keep pressing down and it just doesn't allow me to head any further. So that's actually a really good instruction to have. And let's stop that. And then moving on to paddle 2, which is the one on the left, we have pressing the S key changes the y-axis by -10, and pressing the W key changes the y by a +10. So as you can see here, and now because I don't have the instruction to bounce off walls, it means that it just keeps on going through the walls. So if I do that, it should now change. Yep, there we go. So now we have a situation where I can just move the paddles around and not go through anything, not go through walls. So that's pretty much everything. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to show the work that I've done on my own video game, which is not going to be as in-depth as this, I think, but in some ways, well, we'll have a look. The other thing I wanted to kind of, I still want to investigate here is if I have any way of, for example, in Pong, when you play originally, it bounces off the wall, of the up and down wall, but it goes through the left and right ones. So I still want to see if there's any way of doing that, but I believe that's going to be for a later time. So I think, and then yeah, I can have sounds, I can add all types of sounds going on here. which might be something I'm going to be interested in. So, if you haven't figured out yet, I believe both Alex and I, we kind of struggle with this, so we're going to stick with Scratch for an extra week, because it's really interesting and it just kind of wanders, it kind of asks you to stay a bit of time with it. So let's have a look at, save that because I've made some changes. Let's have a look at my own game. Essentially, the idea that I want for this first kind of project is to be able to set much like in a Super Mario kind of style. I want to be able to set something over here on the top right hand corner that my character can go to. So creating a platformer essentially. So what do I have? I have, looking at it, we have points in direction 90 degrees, which means it will travel. It will always be pointing at 90 degrees because I had a problem, and you can see here on the direction that whenever I moved my character down, it would go on a strange axis and it will move kind of like to 79 degree, which meant that then moving to the side, it would move slightly on an angle, which is really awkward. I'll show you in a second what I mean by that. And so when the flag is clicked, repeat this forever, which is if pressing the D key, it will move 5 steps. Pressing the A key, it will move minus 5 steps. So really it's just a change on the idea of the axis. There would be 2 ways for me to do this, probably more, but the ones that I've really figured out, which is change, you can see here, it would be change X by 10, which is what we did with Pong. But I just thought maybe changing with steps would be an interesting thing to do. So that is what I did. And then you can see if the S is pressed, it will change the Y axis by minus 10. At the moment, I don't need that. I just need to find a way. This is something I'm going to explain later. I need to find a way to recreate gravity in the game because I don't really know how to do that, which is really weird. Essentially, my character can't jump at the moment, or not in a significant manner, which is really annoying for a platformer. But right, let's have a look. So then, if pressing mouse down, it will switch costumes, which I've got costumes now, which essentially, if I go to, so I've got my sprite selected. If I go on costumes, you can see that it's got 2. Now I need to find a way, first of all, to essentially, how do I do that? Make this line up with, oh, it's because it's different sizes. That's why. Why are they different sizes? So essentially, I'm going to, you can probably see, yeah, you can see that on here, yeah, really strange. The character's moving whenever they change costume. So essentially what this is going to look like, if I go to the preview, is that when I press, it will kind of move the lightsaber down. The problem is that I've just clocked that, is that they are different sizes, the 2 sprites. For some strange reason. So that's very interesting. Okay, because yeah, you can see here this one is 19 by 31 and the other one's 28 by 28, which is strange. I will have to find a way of making these the same size. Reshape. But I can't reshape this one. Why can't I reshape this one? What's going on here? Convert to vector. Ah, hello. Can I change the size of this now? I apparently can't. Right. Oh. Okay. 26 by 26. But then I'm changing, yeah, but then I'm changing the size there, which isn't great. Anyway, sorry, I know this looks really interesting just to have a look at this, because they are, anyway, right, I'm going to stop diving into this, otherwise there will be the entire video just that. So, what am I looking at? We've got we've got change of costume, essentially, is what's happening. So if I press my mouse down, it will move the lightsaber, which will be then the catalyst for stuff like deflecting blasters or defeating enemies, stuff like that, that I will hopefully get to at some point. Let's stop that. And then, interesting one. So again, we have if on edge bounce, which means that the character won't be able to travel past the floor. Then we have the jump, which has been a problem, to say the least. So if I press go, you can see here that the character moves great. Brilliant. Look at him, just moving side to side. Doesn't have costume of like movement animation. I will probably get to that at some point. And importantly, it doesn't go through walls. I'm pressing the A key, which means it would be changing the Y by moving 5 steps to the left, and it's not moving because it's reaching the bottom. I'm pressing the S key and nothing happens. So if I move down there, oh yeah. Why did that happen? I just moved my character down and then it just went to the floor. So I have gravity technically, but my problem is that, so you can see here, what I have at the space, what I have for jump at the moment is if key space is pressed, then it's going to change the Y axis by 15. If that's not happening, it will set the Y axis to -149, which is the line of the floor. So if I press the space, great, it jumps. Awesome. There's only a problem. I can keep pressing space and the character's just going to fly. So I need to find a way for that not to happen, to have a limitation on it doesn't matter how long you press it for, it's only going to change the Y axis by however many degrees, but then it comes back down. So yeah, it's been an interesting thing to try and figure out how to do that. You can see here that there's a lost kind of instruction command code line thing, which is glide by open 3 seconds, but that doesn't quite work. So 214 to 151 is the point on the top right hand corner. So if I change that, if I just replace those 2 lines of code, the problem is that it doesn't quite do what I want. So if I press space, it just glides straight up, and that's not really what I want. So it just means that it goes to that place, but I don't want it to go to that place. I keep pressing to move, but it's not what I need to do. So I've been experimenting with different lines of code here, which isn't quite working. The other thing I need to figure out, but I need to figure out that after I figure out how to jump, is how do I then recreate gravity here? So that's definitely going to be on a kind of sensing, on the sensing aspect of it. So it's going to be something like touching, so touching mouse pointer, no, if it's touching floor, which is what I call this sprite, because originally that was going to be floor, and then there should be something about control here, which so I think let's try this. So what's going to be here is probably going to be this, so we can put that here, can we? There. It doesn't really matter where, if on it. In fact, I'm going to put this at the top because it's something that needs to occur anytime. So if sensing touching floor, I'm going to change that now because it's going to get really confusing really fast. So if changing, so platform, let's say, cool. If it's touching platform, let's go back to then this sprite. Then it's probably going to be something like set Y to, it's going to be that, set Y to -185. Else set Y to whatever the other one was, which is 149 minus 149. Let's see if that works. So start that. Great. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. Working. So it is doing what I want, technically. So essentially, if I then jumped, why is it not jumping? It basically does not change Y. It is change Y. Why is it not jumping? interesting, it is not jumping now at all. So you can see, yeah, I don't know what's happening. I broke it. It's been that for the whole week. It's been kind of breaking stuff, but you can see that now if it touches the platform, it stays there, which is essentially what I wanted. But I just need to, now what I need to figure out is just how to jump. That's my big problem at the moment. But anyway, let's show why I have the pointing direction, because this was this is a really interesting thing that happened. Was I can't just take this block away, which is annoying, but let's just delete that. So what was happening here was that I was well, it's not now because I also have, so maybe I have this block is irrelevant now because I've got the set y to that, so it will never travel past. So essentially what was happening was that my character was changing the angle, and you can see here that the direction, I just pointed at the screen without using the mouse, very good. The direction here is 78, so it means that it should be traveling on it means that the axis is kind of tilted, which means they should be traveling slightly to the edge, but because I've got the y set at -149 always, that should be what is making it kind of clear of where it needs to go. But you know, it's been an interesting one to figure out. So yeah, essentially that is what it is looking like at the moment. There's still a long way to go. There's still kind of instructions to NPCs of interacting without you actually kind of, you can see all these things of once you press that, obeys all these commands, but there should be something about when clicked, I can set it much like the ball that moves automatically. I can just set it that it just kind of happens. So I'll have stuff like pointing and shooting at our character, and all that good stuff. Yeah, it's been a harder week this week to kind of learn how to. It's not really learn how to code because everything is kind of like placed here, and it's very much you just figuring out what you need to go from A to B and what the A and B are essentially. But the hardest thing really for me at the moment is figure out how jump works, and right now why my jump just isn't working at all. Whilst I was making the video, we just figured out it is not. We just figured out, I think it's because it's not touching platform, so the Y is just going to be that. So if I take this off, yeah, it changes back up. Tricky. So I don't know how to fix that now. Sorry, I'm just talking now without really. Is it? Do I just, if I press it there, does that happen? Oh, interesting. That's not what I want at all. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to go figure out what this means, and hopefully by next week I'll have a much more interesting game to show and actually have some backgrounds and some stuff like that, and I'll try to figure out why the two sprites are different sizes as well. Something I'll try to do. But yeah, so it's been a fun one, and I look forward to seeing what Alex actually did with his. And yeah, if you want to try and probably do a better job at this than I am currently doing, feel free to go on the National Videogame Museum's website and the Learning at Home section, and you'll have all the instructions from the stuff that we did last week and with Scratch. So go there, have a go, and tell us, show us what you got. You can tell us on our social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and have fun.